Welcome to the Project M Ultimate Build. If you're not familiar with the Project M, it's made by 4-Wheel Camper, and you can see them on 4wheelcampers.com. Nothing in this video is sponsored. I'm just doing this for fun. Hopefully you guys will get something out of it. If you're not familiar with the Project M, it's basically like a lot of campers that are coming out that basically just sit on the truck bed and there's nothing below in the bed, so it's just a truck bed in there. This originally, when I started working on it, weighed 460 pounds, so it's really lightweight camper. There's plenty of information about the actual camper online. You can look at videos and that sort of thing. So let's kind of get into it. Where I'm at, I'm in Utah near Canyonlands in a place called Indian Creek, and I'm on a rest day from climbing these cliffs over here. We had a little bit of rain, we had a little weather. It's a little chillier today, which is nice, and my friends went into town, so I thought, hey, this is a good day to do a video. So anyway, let's get into it. So why do I call it the Ultimate M? Well, all this silver diamond plate is part of the build. A lot of people buy the Project M because it's a blank slate. You can still use your pickup bed. I basically built mine into a slide-in camper. The reason I did that because it was cheaper, and also I like building things, so this is what I did, and I customized it to fit my truck perfectly. I have a first generation Tundra, and it fits really well on this truck. So what did I do? Why is it an ultimate build? Let's get inside and check out what's going on. Actually, first, before we do this, talk about what's out here. So I have my propane inside this cabinet right here. I have two propane tanks, 10-pounders. I have an upper and lower venting for it. It's a fully welded, gasketed construction. This is a propane outlet for my stove if I want to cook out on the tailgate, which I do a lot. This is a fill for my water. Both of these upper panels are removable, so like in the summer, if I want to remove these and just have it wide open in the back, I can do that. It takes about 6 bolts. I can take this panel out. It's fully insulated with 1 inch of insulation, and my build isn't complete. I still need a door, so I wanted to go climbing, and so that could wait. All right, so let's jump inside here and we'll continue. Now, I thought about putting the top up and all that and showing all that, but that's pretty easy to do, and it would be more video kind of stuff. So let's take a look. So this is kind of one of the things that I find pretty unique. So once I get to camp, I put the top up. I have this set up so that I can just lift this cabinet. I'm not going to sit here and wait until it's all the way up. I can predetermine where I want this to stop, and it gives me more room, gives me this cabin up and out of the way. So as you can see, I have a microwave, 900 watt, and just a little storage cabinet beside it. My inverter controller is here, the 3000 watt inverter. 300 amp hours of lithium. Turn this light on. Okay, so that's all the way up. I have, obviously a sink. It's pretty nice. With the sink, obviously cold water, but I also have hot water, and I have a 3-liter tank inside here. And let's just take a look at what's in the cabinets before we get too darn far. I'm going to jump around. This isn't what I do. I build things. I don't do videos. So let's look at this. So I've got a drawer over here, kind of a mess. And you see all the cutouts in it. That's so that it clears the sink. And my heater is in the back underneath in this cabinet of Propex propane heater. I really like drawers, although they do take up a fair bit of room with all the slides and everything kind of get there. Like I said, dual propane tanks with a dual regulator on it that are in here. That gives me plenty of propane. That up. So that was a drawer. This is just it's basically access to my fuse box and some of the controls for, I have a electric water heater. This right here is designed so that I can heat my water at a much higher temperature. So I maintain my water tank at 180 degrees. And this is a mixing valve that mixes it with cold water so that at the tap, I've got, gonna adjust what I got. It looks like I got it set at about, I don't know, 105 or so. It's coming out of the tap. Originally, I didn't have this in here, and I thought, well, I can just adjust it at the tap, but that just means I waste a lot more water trying to get the water adjusted to a good temperature. This way I can just put it all the way hot. I can wash my hands, wash my dishes, that sort of thing. It's really nice for that. This is a small inverter. So this is a 300 watt inverter. I put a 300 watt inverter here, so this pretty much just runs all the time. I have this on, so it doesn't have a lot of standby power usage. It powers the cabinet lift that I installed because it's AC. It's 12 volt, but it's AC. And it also allows me to just have more, power for laptops, this iPad that I'm using to record. So it's pretty nice, and I can just leave that on. It doesn't use a whole lot of power when it's just in idle mode. Underneath that, small gray water tank here that I just have to remember to empty. This is the little water heater I built, 3 liters. Has all the safety equipment for pop off and all that for heat and pressure. Beside that, I've got 2 ways to get into this. I've got a storage cabinet. I'll put the light on so you can see in here a little bit better. And there's 2 ways to get into there for maintenance and just access for storage. This box is part of the Propex system. So for heating, the primary heating is hot air, and then the secondary is radiant. So my floor is actually heated with water, and it has water circulating through the floor. So hot water, it's an air over water system. So the Propex goes through a coil, heats the water, and puts it into a small reservoir, a 1 gallon reservoir, and then circulates that hot water through the floor. Works really well when it's really cold out. Doesn't work right when it's like it is now. It gets down in the 40s at night. So the furnace doesn't run all that much. So I actually don't use it when it's relatively warm out. Once it gets down to in the teens, or if it's below 0, it's really nice because the furnace is going to run more. So the water in the system is going to more, and the floor actually in here actually feels really warm. Like it's actually warm. You get up in the morning, you get down on your bare feet, this floor is warm. So it's not for primary heating, it's more to keep the water tank warm in really extremely cold weather, because the pipe runs, loops all underneath the floor, underneath the cabinets, everything. So everything maintains being warm, in the real cold weather. Back in here, obviously, a water pump, expansion tank. I like everything that's easily accessible for anything that I think might be water associated. Let's keep going around. This is the end of my water tank. This is a 20-gallon tank. Has a drain valve in the bottom. You can't see it because I got covered up with some junk, extra paper towels and stuff. So the Propex, I keep jumping around, I apologize for that, but it's as I think and it's not scripted. So this end, kind of when you came in, you probably noticed this. So this is actually a 20 or a 16 by 20 filter that the propane heater, the Propex, draws from. So it's filtered air, and part of the reason for that is two reasons. Number one, it cuts down on the dust in the camper, not just recirculating desert dust in here all the time. I do a lot of desert climbing. The other reason, and it's not going to plug up the coil that for the radiant system, because it's a fine coil in there. All right. Once I get done, I'll start talking about materials that I used in this build. This build has no wood in it. There's no wood construction. Portable Camper doesn't do any of their materials. They're all aluminum frames. I kind of carried that into the base. So much like the other side, the seating area here has a lift up area. I'm not going to pull that open because it's the same as this side. So this area where the seating area is also doubles as a bed. So over here, I don't have it set up, but this is a table that I can put up between here. I just take this off and there's a big table I can put here. I honestly don't use it very much. Clips to here, comes out, it's got a single leg that sits. So if you have a group of people in, or you get 4 people in here, you set the table. It's basically divided into 2 areas, the camper. From here back towards me, this is kind of the galley section. So if people are sitting here, everything that I need for cooking or whatever is all back here. So my fridge is over here. This is an angle fridge. I love this fridge. I've had it for years. It's just a single zone fridge, so it doesn't have a freezer. It can be used as a freezer, but it's just a single zone. So what I like about this setup is I can be basically in this galley area and I can access everything back here food-wise. This cabinet underneath here, that's what this is. This is just food storage. So this is kind of one of the bigger food areas of storage. So I can store all my canned goods and snacks and all that in there. All right, so this box here, this has just water off of here. Got a little, for the phone, you can charge it on there. Inside here is my 3,000 watt inverter. It needs some wiring. I need to clean up some wiring and stuff. Again, like I said, this is kind of a project that I'm still working on. Underneath that, this is just my batteries. Like I said, I got 300 amp hours of battery available to me, and that's enough to run a 3,000 watt inverter, and pretty comfortably. I typically only use about, max is around 1,500 watts or something like that, so it's well in the capacity of that. What I use 3,000 watts for, obviously, so I had a microwave. I also have a convection hot plate that I cook on a lot of times, but I can also cook on propane. So originally, when I started the build, I had a propane double burner right here, and I decided that I didn't really want to cook inside here all that much. That's why I have a propane hookup on the outside. So I do most of my cooking on the tailgate when I can. I prefer that. But on this trip, I've been on a trip, I think I've been out for a week, and honestly, I haven't used the propane outside. I've just used the induction stove, and I've used the microwave a lot. You know, a lot of the stuff that I do, I pre-cook my stuff, and I was like, it's mostly just warming up. So the microwave's pretty sweet for that. Okay, let's talk about the bed area a little bit more. Let me pull this. Oh, hopefully I can do this without. So this is the box, one of those collapsible boxes. You can get them everywhere. Amazon's got them everywhere. It's kind of nice because, you know, I start out, I didn't have anything in this box left, and then I just put all kinds of odds and ends, and my coffee's in there and stuff. So this is my stove. This is my propane stove that I kind of took a drop-in stove, like a built-in stove for a camper, and build a box for it. What I found is your dual regulator system for propane runs at 11 inches of water column, so, you know, approximately 1/3 of a pound of pressure, whereas most of your like Coleman stoves and that, they run at like 15 psi, so it's a different regulator. And I think, and I don't know this for a fact, but I believe that's because, you know, the built-in stove and the propane Propex heater that I have, they're designed to be inside the camper. And I'm not sure if it's like, oh, we do this because if there is a leak, it's only 1/3 of a pound. I'm not sure. But a regular Coleman stove will not run off of this very well. You get a low flame, but it's not going to be anywhere near what it needs to be. So anyway, so I built a stove. Haven't really used it much. But it's still nice to have. All right, so this area here, kind of in the seating area, I can also sleep down here. The table, I'm not going to put it on there, but it basically comes to here, and I have legs for it. And I can set this, and then all of the seating just goes across. I have to take the stove off, obviously. But I have a 6-foot area from here to here. So I got 6-foot area. I'm only 5'9". So I can sleep across there with the top down and be really comfortable in here. So I don't have to put the top up. So if I'm kind of stealth camping, or I'm just in an area where it's like, you know, I'm traveling across the country, I want to stay at a truck stop, or I want to, you know, pretty much anywhere that I don't want to put the top up. You know, say if they're getting a lot of snow at night, it's dumping snow. These tops can handle 1,000 pounds evenly distributed over the top, which is fine. But when you go to put the top down, that's when things get kind of crazy. Some of these have actually collapsed. I've seen collapse one where they just fold in half, kind of in the middle. They collapse across here and just buckle in, and it's a pretty pricey lesson to be learned. So anyway, so a lot of times if it's really bad, if it's nuking outside, if I'm out ice climbing or something like that, and there's going to be a lot of snow, this lets me sleep better at night. If I just leave the top down, I'm really comfortable down here. The furnace runs a lot less because most of the heat loss is going to be up here in this canvas. Even though I have, you know, the thermal pack, this stuff right here, which is, you know, it's not really an insulation more than just another separation. It creates an air gap between the vinyl and the inside. It's kind of like a double pane window effect in a sense, so it creates a little dead air space, and that helps a lot. Really, it actually helps a lot. So if you think that these things aren't really have much insulation, because they don't, and you can see right through them, there's hardly anything to it. It's a piece of fabric. It actually works really well. Other than just cold, it helps in the heat, you know, in the summertime. It also helps in condensation. You may get condensation on the inside here, but you're not going to touch it and feel it, and it's not going to be sweating. So I think the thermal pack in these things, this is a factory option that the guy had gotten previously before I purchased it. I think it's pretty well worth it if you're thinking about that. So the bed area here, I typically solo when I'm out here, so it's just me. So for me, this bed area is plenty big enough. You know, I sleep across and I've got tons of room. There's probably, I don't know, 3.5 feet from here to the wall. That's a pretty good sized bed for me. If I do want, like my wife comes or something like that, or if we're on a climbing trip and a couple of us are here, I can take this and pull this bed out all the way to here. And that gives me a king size bed in here. So from the size of the bed, I mean, it's massive. It's a huge bed. So if you're wondering if you're going to be able to sleep in this, and say somebody's over 6 foot, if you pull this bed out, you're going to have plenty of room. It's a king size bed. I mean, I don't know how many inches. It's way over 6 feet, 7 feet or something like that. Weight wise, people are going to wonder how much this thing weighs now that I've got all this stuff in here. So this is the original camper as it's set up, the way I got it. It's got 2 fans in it, which are really nice, by the way. You can have one adjusted so that it blows in and one's out, or you can just crank it open and just open the window on the side, have airflow, and just manually open this by this, and you can just have natural, you know, convection that just draws heat out. So back to the weight. This camper weighed 460 pounds as it was built. So that's with the cushions in it, that's with the fans installed, that's with the thermal pack. And then my additional weight, I haven't weighed it yet. When I built it, part of the reason why I built it out of aluminum, as far as like the cabinet framing and everything, is I wanted to keep it light. I can tell you that it doesn't weigh that much more than my topper build that I had. I had a pretty extensive topper build. You can look it up. I think it's called Ken's Topper Build, I think. And I had a bed in it, and I had, you know, but I made it out of wood, and I wasn't really worried about weight. And I don't think it weighs that much more. The truck doesn't handle like it weighs a lot, but I will weigh it eventually. I want to get it done and then go weigh it. So let's talk about, I guess, materials that I use. Like I said previously, there's no wood in this build. This material, the black that you see, all these cabinet faces that you see, this is all made out of polyethylene sheet. It's a really nice plastic to work with. It machines well with just typical woodworking tools. If you've cut acrylic or, you know, a clear plastic or something like that, it's way different than cutting that. This isn't as grabby. It doesn't melt as easily. It machines really nice. You can put radius edges on it with, like, you know, round over beds and that sort of thing. So all this black that you see in general, as far as what I put in, that's what that is, 1/4-inch polyethylene sheet. I got it at, these stores aren't everywhere in the United States. In fact, they seem to be more of a, I don't know, Ohio, Michigan, Wyoming, Nebraska, I think they're there, but it's called Menards. It's kind of like a Lowe's or a Home Depot home improvement. And it was about $100 for a 4x8 sheet. I think it was less than that. I think it was around $80. That's what all this black is. I like it because it's, you know, it's a pretty nice medium to work with. It's easy to work with. It's easy to cut. The bad thing about it is that it expands and contracts quite a bit. So if you would just screw this directly in the summer, you'll see it'll warp. It'll expand and get crazy. I tried something on this build and it seems to be working fine. I actually built, you know, aluminum frame. As you can see, it's a 1x1/2 by 0.62 welded frame, and then just use 3M VHB tape to attach. Just basically, it's taped on there. It's a double-sided tape, and it is as close as I could find to something on the 3M site that would actually stick to polyethylene, and it seems to be sticking exceptionally well. Part of the construction that I did aluminum full-length piano hinges. I like a piano hinge. They don't really come out of adjustment. They're a little more of a pain in the butt to install, but once you get them installed properly, they don't really move around. There's no adjustment, that they don't rattle out of side. They stay there. Other hardware, these are like a slam latch. These are all stainless. Amazon, got those from. And then the interior here that you see on these is white. I like white on the interior. The cabinets just gives you a little bit more cleaner look, and it's more, the back side of this polyethylene is, typically it's easy to scratch because it's shiny. The front face of it has kind of got a texture to it, so it doesn't show scratches quite as easily. It does get easily dirty. You can see it already. I cleaned this morning. It's just me bumping into it. That's all. You can see it's kind of dirty. It has a lot of static cling. Anyway, so the interior of this white stuff is it's called Bubble X. It's similar to like a corrugated plastic, but it's a little more stiff in both directions. Well, like a corrugated, it's almost like corrugated cardboard, except it's made out of plastic. They use it in signs and that sort of thing. So that's what you would see if you see this white stuff. That's typically that. So other things that I used, we'll talk about the frame and stuff in a minute. So this stuff, this white that I used here, this is ACM material. So this is a aluminum clad material. I believe the core to it, let's see if I can get, you can kind of see, you can't really see the edge of it, but it's basically an aluminum skin, painted skin on both sides with a plastic on the inside. And it makes for a pretty lightweight structural panel in a sense. So it just stays stiff. Structure, I don't mean you can go walking on it, without any support. You can definitely sit on it. It's plenty strong enough to sit on in this much of a span. It's plenty strong for that. Really easy to work with again. The aluminum facing on it is extremely thin. So, if you just took a ball peen hammer and just dropped, it would dent. It would just dent. So although it's a really nice looking material, it's easy to work with. It does have its limitations. What its primary usage is for signage and also building facades, like commercial buildings and stuff. You'll see them in use for that. Comes in all kinds of different colors. You can get them you can get this material at a lot of the plastic distributors like Piedmont Plastics or Dayton Plastics. I'm sure there's plenty. It depends on where you're at in the country. You just got to find somebody that'll sell retail to you, and call around, because I used to work with this stuff in my before I retired. I would work with this occasionally, so I kind of knew the pricing of it. To give you an idea, I think I paid a little over $100 a sheet for a 4x8 sheet. So if you get quoted something at 400, which I did, I got quoted once. One guy wanted $400 a sheet for it. I'm like, all right, thanks, man. Look around, you'll find it. You should be able to get around $120 a sheet or so. You can get a bunch of different colors, and there's a couple anodized colors. If you want a little more durability, I'd go with the anodized finish. It's going to cost a few bucks more, literally maybe $10 more. It comes with a plastic coating on it, so you can cut it, drill it, do all your things, and then you install it and then peel the plastic off it. Wait till you get to the end to peel the plastic off, because it's still pretty easy to damage. While I'm in this frame, let's talk about what I got going on the side. This is, just plug in from the inverter, the 3,000 watt inverter, with a couple of just, accessory ports, USBs and that sort of thing. This is my water on off, so I can shut my pump off for the water pump. I usually travel, when I'm traveling around, I'm going to be moving around much. I usually shut my pump off in case something breaks loose. I'm not pumping 20 gallons of water inside the camper. This is my water heater on and off. I'll talk a little bit more about the water heater, I guess now, why not? So it's, like I said, it's a 3-liter hot water tank. And I'm not sure we get to a point where you can see much, but let's get down in there and see. We already looked in this cabin a little bit. Oh yeah, you can see it. You can see the control for it anyway. This down here is just that's my propane detector. And you can see the control for it. This is a 200 watt electric immersion heater. What I liked about this one, I got this one at Missouri Wind and Power, and super nice folks over there. What I like about this is actually a DC 12 volt 200 watt inverter. It's not something that's just been relabeled to be 12 volt DC. You'll see them out there and they're pretty cheap, and they're just 120 volt immersion heater, and they just scrape off, they literally scrape off the AC portion of it. This one's actually a 12 volt one, and you can, as you can see, you can adjust the temperature on this one, so it's really handy. I like it a lot, and I just built this tank for it. And the tank is all insulated, so it doesn't use a lot of power. I'm kind of surprised. I haven't really done an energy audit to see how much juice it's run, but it's not too bad. Okay, so other things. Okay, so this is just Formica, it's just Formica, and I just glued it to a piece of the 3mm ACM that I used here. I've got a couple different colors of it. I got black in here. This is ACM panel. You can bend it with, you can cut. They make a special bit for a router so that you can bend it. This is probably a better observation. It looks really nice. It bends really nice. You just do it by hand. It's basically this corner, and you can just bend it by hand. When you do it, you just have to curve cut. You'll have to look it up. I'm not going to explain it too much. Basically, a router does a V cut with a little flat bottom in it. And you can cut that and you just bend it by hand. You don't need a bender or anything. What else we got? Oh, so up here, I was towel rack. So this is my control for the Propex heater. Above that, that's my, the control for the lighting under there with a dimmer. I'm big into dimmers. I like having something when it gets dark out. You can tone this light down so it's not so bright. What else? Oh, the sink. Talk about the sink a little bit. So this is basically a Dometic sink that's like $400, I think they run around there. But a Chinese ripoff, I guess you call it. I think I spent $140 on this sink. It's really nice. Amazon, they have everything. The one thing I didn't like about it when I purchased it was the actual faucet. The faucet was horrendous. The hot and cold water didn't have a mixing valve in it. So if I had it on hot, it was 100% hot. If I had it on cold, it was 100%. It didn't matter if I adjusted this back and forth. There was no adjustment. The other thing I didn't like about it is that the way that the faucet came out, it just kind of, it almost shot out in an angle. It wouldn't shoot out, but it wasn't very useful faucet, so I ended up buying another one. And I like this one pretty well. It's high enough that I can, you can put a liter bottle under a pot or something like that. Pretty easy to use. It folds back out of the way if you just want to get into the sink. So I like it a lot. I really like the sink. I like the little bit of hot water I get. It's amazing. You're not going to shower with the amount of water. Like, again, 3 liters of water, of really hot water. it doesn't give you a lot of water. It's for washing your face, washing your hands, doing little dishes. You're not going to shower with it or anything like that. It's not going to recovery. It doesn't have enough recovery. But I really like this sink for the money. I put one I installed when I did a van build, and for a buddy of mine, and I used the Dometic, and the Dometic's a better quality. I'll say that straight up. I'm a stainless guy. That's what I did most of my life, was work with stainless. This is about as thin of stainless steel as you can use. I'd say it's probably, gosh, I'd be surprised if it's 28 gauge. You know, if you know anything about gauges in metal, it's really thin. It doesn't have to be really thick, right? I suppose you could drop like a regular like butter knife in this from, you know, up high, and you'd put it down, and you probably would. But I'm just a little more careful in it. But for the cost savings of like a third of the price, it's pretty nice. So yeah, I'd recommend it. Why not? So for materials that I used in the build, back to that, I keep bouncing around. All the frames for the cabinets are basically built modular. So from here over to the door, I could take this whole face off. So I can remove everything, and everything will go out the door in pieces. It's all bolted together. It's like a big erector set. This top comes off, or you can see these screws here. Everything's machine screws. So I can basically take 3 screws out. I have a tab in the back, and I can just slide this out. Obviously I have to take the sink out, and I can just pull this off. So maintenance is a big thing for me on these things. If something goes wrong while I'm out here, I want to be able to fix it. So I can take the drawer off. The drawers just have the quick attach. I can just pull the drawer out, pull the top off, and I can get to the Propex heater that's buried back in here really easily. So 3 screws, take the sink out. I can just shut the water off, pull the sink out if I need to. I can get to the Propex heater if needed. Don't plan on needing to get to the Propex heater, but it's nice to know that you can get to it pretty easily. So let's talk about framing and that sort of thing. So typical, this is kind of an idea what the frames look like for the cabinets. It's 1x1 aluminum tubing. It's 063 wall, all welded construction. Pretty typical for all the framing. I used 2 different sizes in the actual frame. One was this 1x1. The other was a 1x2, same thickness, wall thickness. And then just in the doors and stuff like that, I use this little skinny 1/2 inch by 1 inch by 063. And I pretty much just like, you know, this is typical. I just welded the inside corners, TIG welded. It's all TIG welded. And that makes for an extremely strong, very stable door. And it kind of creates like a box. So let's talk about the radiant heating a little bit, the frame structure. So the floor has 5, we'll call them floor joists, front to back, about 1 foot on center. There's one in the center, and then there's a if you want to call it, floor joist underneath this wall and this wall. They're 1x3 by 063 also. And so it's, you know, the void is filled with insulation. And actually, I'm sorry, it's 1x2. I said 1x3. It's 1x2. And then it has another inch of insulation on top of that covers everything. And then my radiant goes on top of that. So the floor is really well insulated. What I've noticed in campers is you can heat the camper, but the floor is always cold, you know, unless you have carpet on it. But if you have like a surface like this, if it's 10 degrees outside, you're not going to want to walk around barefoot or just in socks on the floor, unless it's got radiant. You know, if it doesn't have an energy source, it's not going to be warm. That's just the way it works. What else? that could be it. If anybody has questions, leave it in the comments, I suppose. I enjoyed building this. It was super fun. Wow, I look scraggly today. Look at that. That's being a week out in the bush. I'm sure I missed something. Oh, one of the things I wanted to talk about here from the material standpoint, which this is something that's, I haven't seen anybody use it like I did. Doesn't mean it's an original flop by any means. So somebody's going to ask about it, and probably somebody's wondering about it. So all this stuff that I've got around here, this carpeted stuff. This is, you can see how kind of semi-stiff this stuff is. I mean, it's pretty, it's flexible, but it's, you know, it's fairly stiff. It'll bend back, you can fold it, it'll pop back a little bit. This is a bed rug. It's a universal bed rug. Let's just put it on the bottom of the truck bed. And it comes in a roll. I got it from Amazon. How much was it? $100 or something, like $110 shipped to me. And I found that it worked really well for a light insulation. It's stiff. It's easy to cut. You know, just what I ended up using to get my straightest cut, what I use is like an extendable razor knife, you know, that comes out, the blade comes out, you know, 3 or 4 inches. And then a piece of like angle aluminum. I actually use like something like this. This is, you know, 1.5 by 1.5 inches, and I could use this as a guide. So that what that did is it allowed me, actually it would be this way because I held it on the side, kept my fingers away from the blade, and it allows me to keep the blade square when I cut it. And you want your blade to be really sharp. So a new one, don't get an old one and try to cut this, because what it does, it just kind of tears the carpet a little bit and pulls it. But what I like about this stuff is it's super easy to work with. It's really light. Like this hardly weighs anything. So if you were doing just like a super basic build, topper build or camper like this or whatever, covering your windows like I did here, I think the sheet length was 8 foot by 6 foot or something like that for $100. That's not bad. And it's already glued to, you know, it's not designed to be insulation, but that's just how it works out. I don't know what the R factor is on that. But you can wash this. You know, it's designed to be in an open truck bed. Pretty tough. What it doesn't like, I can tell you this from experience, is if you use like a hook and loop like Velcro on this, it really tears this carpet up. I don't know why. I've never run into something that gets so damaged by Velcro. It's a carpet. I'm not sure it's just how they make this carpet, but because it doesn't seem to scratch very easy. It doesn't seem to tore it. But if you put like a heavy duty Velcro hook on this, it just tears it up. Doesn't tear it off, it just makes it real stringy. Let's see if I can have a spot. Like you can see what it did right here. It just pulled out the strings out. So anyway, small problems, right? And I use it everywhere. It just adds insulation. It creates a thermal break from the cold and from the heat. All this stuff, what I did here, I'll show you here, is a good spot to do it, I think. What I did is how I attached it, because I want to be able to remove it easy enough. I just put my, I put the hook on here on this material on the original camper, and it just, it's just an adhesive back Velcro. That way I can remove it, I can wash it, I can beat it out to get the dust out of it. And if it gets looking bad, I did this with one sheet. And all the windows are, I'm not a big fan of windows in the winter. There's my window. And I just cover my windows, and that kind of insulates it for heat and cold, really. And I did that. both sides, so I don't really use the windows. I probably wouldn't order it with windows. I think it has to come with one window, like this one. It's on this side, because that's an emergency escape hatch, which they require, I believe, in a camper. Probably one thing I will do where it's exposed to the window on the outside is I'll probably put some of that silver bubble wrap, not necessarily for the insulation, but just, I'm not sure how the sun's going to react with this material. It might break it down. The UVs may break it down quickly. So I'll probably put some reflex or something like that in there. Wash, I think that's it. Solar. I didn't talk about solar, did I? So I've got 400 watts on the roof. Another thing I need to do, I need to clean up my wiring for the MPPT charge controller. This one is the blue solar. So what that means is the blue solar charge controller is Bluetooth capable, but you have to use their dongle, which I actually prefer. I like the dongle for Bluetooth, because then I can kind of check on my phone. Let's pop up the phone here. That's going to make me do some things. Okay, so what I like about Victron equipment is it's pretty easy to run. I'm not a big electronics guru by any means, but I can give you an idea what this is. So this is the BMV, which actually monitors my battery health. So what you can see in that, I've got 81% battery left. I'm running at 13.4 and whatever. That tells me what I'm doing right now for the battery and what the battery usage is. If I go back, I go to the controller I just showed you, which is my MPPT controller. This actually shows how much solar I'm getting. And it's pretty cloudy outside, and I'm getting 104. And let's see, show you what outside looks like. It's pretty darn cloudy out there. Let me get through the screen here. Let's see. Yeah. Anyway, it's cloudy outside. It's nice out. It's pretty cloudy, so I'm not getting much solar. Earlier today, it's a 400 watt system, and I was pulling. See what the history is on it. My max that I was pulling in today was 426 watts, which exceeded my expectations for these solar panels. They're not real expensive solar panels. Very happy with them. Very happy with them. Let's see. I think that's it. If you got questions, let me know in the comments. You want more details on something? I know I jumped around a lot. I apologize for that. I'm a better builder than a YouTuber, apparently. But this works really well for me as a climber. I can ice climb in this thing. Not the most efficient thing to have a pop-up for ice climbing in, sub-zero conditions, but it keeps me plenty warm in here. My furnace just runs more, but it doesn't run as much as you might think. It cycles obviously more. Now, if the top's down, it might cycle once or twice an hour. It'll run. That's pretty darn good. All right, so for the door right now, I don't have a door. What I'm doing right now is I just take this, if I saw me, my little test piece, I stick this in there during the day when I want to have the tailgate down. I shove that in there like that. And that, because it's probably in the 40s out there right now. And I just stuff this is my door right now. As you can see, it works great, right? It just fell out. But these little mats that I got at Husky, they're Home Depot brand, Husky things. These are pretty sweet, man. If you're working on, I like this in my camper because I can kneel on it, I got old bones. Getting in and out of the camper, I can usually jump up there, no problem. I'm pretty pretty fit for an old guy. But if I'm working on my knees, if I'm in the cabinets working on something, it's nice to have something like this just to rest your knees on, or your butt. And yeah, I really think I covered everything, I think. If I missed something, let me know. Ask me. Here I am. Let me know if you want more videos. Like I said, it's an unsponsored broadcast. If anybody out there wants to give me a bunch of big batteries and stuff, you know, have at it. I wouldn't mind getting rid of my, as much as I love these Battleborns, I'm going to talk about that for a second. Why not? I didn't really talk about the electrical system all that much, for how important it is to make your wiring sized properly for what you're doing. There's plenty of videos out there. There's plenty of people that really actually know their stuff in building lithium systems. The only thing that you're going to cost you if you go too big on your wires is money, you know, and weight, obviously. I kind of went kind of big on my wires because it's just going to be less resistance in the wire, although it wastes a little bit of money. I had a lot of the wire already, so if you're like, oh, you didn't need to go that big on your wires, I already had the wire, so I couldn't tell you what it is. I think it's maybe 2 watt, 4 watt, for the connection between the battery bank. You got to shut off here, and I can just shut the whole system down over here, and that shuts it off. I've also got, I didn't really pull all the stuff about the cabinet over here. It has all my bus bars, my fuses for, you know, main fuse before the fuse box, main fuse, for all the components that are in here separated throughout. Charge controller coming in. Eventually I'm putting a DC alternator charging. I have all this stuff, I just haven't taken the time to do it. It's going to go in this mess in here. There's going to be a little storage area. Right now, the only thing you see in there is access to, you know, my tie downs in the back corner. You can kind of see. And I've got my charger for my electric bike. I got a little electric dirt bike that I buzz around on my days off. And rain jacket, that sort of thing. But yeah, I gotta do that yet. The alternator charging, particularly once I head to the Pacific Northwest when we don't have quite the sunshine as we do here in Colorado and Utah. I live in Colorado. Yeah. Anyway, if you're thinking about building one of these things out, have a great time with it. I think you can do whatever you want with one of these projects. My suggestion is really look at how much weight you're putting into your camper, though, because unless you're really trying to look at how much weight you're putting into it, it can get really heavy, really quiet, really fast. That's my suggestion. Yeah. But anyway, I hope people enjoyed this. Hope you got something from it. I enjoyed doing it. It's a rest day. Why not, right? Have a great day.